Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the SH Monsterarts Gamera 2023. Now, this version of Gamera comes from the most recent anime series, Gamera Rebirth, which, I gotta be honest, I love Gamera Rebirth. I think it is such a good show. The animation, I'll admit, is less than stellar, but everything else works beautifully for me. I love the characters, I love the story, I love the writing, the soundtrack is really good too. And just like all the reimaginings of like all the classic Gamera monsters, I think is just really cool. So yeah, Gamera Rebirth, besides the animation, I think is very solid, and I definitely recommend that you check it out. There's no real way to tell if it's like, doing good right now, you know. Hopefully it's doing good, because if Gamera Rebirth does well enough, then that'll, Kadakawa said that if Gamera Rebirth is like, if it does well, then they do more like live action stuff with Gamera, which is something that I really want. So, yeah, we just gotta hope that Gamera Rebirth is doing good, and yeah, hopefully it does well enough to make Kadakawa do more live action Gamera stuff, because, the more Gamera the better. But I digress. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot else to say, so let's just get right into this. Like usual, to start this review, we'll take a look at the paint, and the painting on this figure I think looks very nice. So as you can see, most of the pieces on this figure are casted in this dark, like blackish coloration, with a lot of highlights of this very dark cyan coloration, which I think looks really nice. Like, you see that on the back of the carapace here, and like the top of his tail, on his arms here, and even on the underside of his carapace, you do see more of that like dark cyan color, so I think that looks really nice. This bit here, we have a lot of really nice, metallic, like, a brighter cyan color, which I think also looks really nice here. The toenails and fingernails are painted black, which I think looks nice. And going to the head here, we can see that Gamera's eyes are painted green with black pupils. On mine, he's not looking perfectly forward. It doesn't look horrible by any means, but it would have been nice if they touched it up a little bit. But I digress. The inside of Gamera's mouth is painted a nice salmon pink. And Gamera's teeth and his tusks here are painted a nice pearly white, so Gamera definitely brushes his teeth. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the painting on this figure. Overall, I think the painting on this figure is very solid, so the painting here, I'd say, gets a pass. Now, we'll take a look at the articulation, and the articulation on this figure, I think, is pretty solid, so let's take a closer look. So, to start off, Gamera can open his mouth like so. I think that looks pretty good. The base of the head is on a ball joint, and the base of the neck is on a ball joint as well. The one annoying thing that, not a deal breaker, it's still a little annoying. Whenever you have Gamera's mouth like fully open like this, he can't really look down, so you can't really have him like looking at like another figure like roaring. I mean, you can, kinda, but like, I don't know, I do think that's just a little annoying, but like I said, not a deal breaker. The shoulders here are on ball joints. We have a bend in the elbows here, as well as a ball joint in the wrist. A little limited, but still there is a ball joint there. The thighs here are on ball joints as well. We have a little bit of a bend in the knees here. Another joint here. And the feet are on ball joints, so they can pivot, like so. And the tail here, we just have a few segmented ball joints here, which I think are nice. There's not a whole lot of movement here, but you can still get like some decent poses with this. So, yeah. That's pretty much it for the articulation on this figure. Obviously, like, there are going to be some sacrifices they have to make, because, like, for a design like this, like, obviously there are some things that just can't move, so I think the points of articulation that are here, I think, are really good. So the articulation on this figure is good. I'd say it gets a pass. Just like with the other three SH Monsterarts Gamera figures, this Gamera does have a flight form, so all you need to do right off the bat is just take off all of the limbs and the tail. Take off the front piece of his carapace, replace that with this alternate piece, pop on these alternate arm wing pieces, and plop him on this included flight stand, like so. Not only does this look really cool, but the stand itself is actually like decently high off the table, so it is nice. With the other SH Monsterarts Gamera figures that I talked about, the flight stands like just kind of reach like up to here. So it's nice that the flight stand here is actually like a lot higher than those figures. So yeah, this looks pretty sick and I love it. Now we'll take a quick look at the sculpt, and the sculpting on this figure is pretty much perfect. It's very obvious that the designers of this figure, they just kind of took the model from Gamera Rebirth and just kind of modified it to make it like an articulated figure. And again, I just think this looks really nice. Some of the elements here, like the arms here, have a nice bit of armor plating here, which looks nice, and even like there's a little bit of that on the side of the neck here. It actually kind of reminds me of the Legendary Godzilla design, you know, Legendary's design for Godzilla, which I'm going to be 100% honest and say I think Gamera wears this look a little better. You know, it just, to me, it just fits Gamera better than it fits Godzilla. Listen, Gamera hasn't been in anything since 2006, alright? Let him have this, but I digress. Still though, the sculpting on this figure is still absolutely fantastic, so the sculpting on this figure, I'd say definitely gets a pass. Now, we'll take a look at the detailing, and the detailing on this figure I think is very nice, so let's take a closer look. So right off the bat, the head here is detailed very nicely. All of the ridges like in the face here and the Gamera's little mohawk here I think is detailed very nicely. And as mentioned earlier, we have this armored plating detailing here, which again is just detailed very nicely. And we get that same sort of like armored plating here on the arms here. And again, these just look great. You know, everything here is just, you know, very nicely defined and like well detailed, and it just looks very nice here. So yeah, and obviously we're going to get that on the other arm as well. The underside of the carapace here has a lot of really nice detailing as well. Like all of the little ridges here are detailed beautifully. So again, that just looks great. The legs have a lot of really nice detailing here as well. Like the back of the legs here, we have a lot of really nice creases and wrinkles in the skin here. Towards the front, we just have that more of like that like 2014, 2019 Godzilla sort of like plating here, which again, Gamera wears this look better. I'm sorry, like I don't make the rules. I'm just here presenting the facts, so don't shoot the messenger. But yeah, the detailing here is just really nice, and even on the feet here, just a lot of really nice scaling here. The tail has a lot of really nice detailing as well. You know, everything here is detailed very nicely. Everything looks very well defined, of like the creases and everything like that, and it just looks really nice. And the last thing to point out, the back of the carapace here, this looks sick. I'm sorry, this looks so cool. Like, it looks so, like, it's so big. That's the best way to describe this, like, not just this figure, but this design for Gamera. It's just big. It feels big, and, like, the carapace here, it just looks really nice. Like, everything, like, it's rigid, you know, all, like, the detailing here. This just looks great. So, yeah, the detailing on the back of the carapace looks great. And that's pretty much it for the detailing on this figure. Yeah, the detailing here is phenomenal. So the detailing here, I'd say definitely gets a pass. Now, we'll do some size comparisons. To start, here we have the Bandai Movie Monster Series Gamera 2023. So here's a quick little comparison between the Monsterarts Gamera 2023 and the Movie Monster Series Gamera 2023. Here we have the Bandai Movie Monster Series Giran 2023. Here we have the SH Monsterarts Gamera 1999. And of course, like how we always do these size comparisons, here we have some hand sanitizer, and here we have Dr. Billy Grant. So at the end of the day, should you get this figure? I'd say yes. I do really like this figure. I think the sculpting and detailing here I think is pretty much on point. The painting, it's not one-to-one to how he looked in the show, but I do prefer this like darker coloration for Gamera here. I just think it looks nicer. And the articulation I think is pretty solid too. So yeah, overall I do recommend that you pick this figure up. As far as price tags go, this figure, well, I got this guy from Awesome Collector and I paid about $120, which normally I'd complain, but honestly I'm not too upset here because I do like this figure. Like, this is a big figure, right? This is like a big, like, chunky design for Gamera. So obviously, this figure is going to be big and chunky. Not only that, but this figure actually has a pretty decent weight to him, too. Like, when you hold him, like, you can feel... This is a very hefty boy, you know? Like, I mean, obviously, I, like, picked him up throughout the video. But, like, when you pick this guy up, like, in person, he's got some nice heft to him. So, yeah, I am not too upset by the price tag here. I will say that I wish this figure came with more accessories. You know, like, in the show, there were definitely things that happened that I think would have made for really cool accessories for Gamera. I won't spoil anything, but more accessories would have been nice, but still, I'm not upset by the price tag, because this is a very big and very hefty figure, and I do recommend that you pick this guy up, because even though he's not cheap, he's still a nice figure to have, so definitely pick this guy up if you can, but I digress. Anyway, that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, Zack out.